When I bind my croc 5-inch of the V2s and go back to it, I have to rebind. Right, I need to check this because I am seeing more and more posts. Should we do it? Let's do it now. I have not bound my V2s to any of my air units. Let's test it. Let's do it live on air. Are you using a Caddx Vista by any chance? £5.64. Massively appreciated. Thank you, Logan. Massively. Give the guy a thumbs up. Massive, massive, massive thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Really do. Shady, I hope that makes sense. Who asked the question, would I bet again, Shade? Does that make some sense? So, what we're going to do, let's try this because people are getting this problem. DJI unit. Okay, I've seen a few comments on the Vista. It shouldn't make a difference, but I have seen a few comments on the Vista as well. Right, which goggles is which? That's the V1s. Let's get rid of them. Okay, so let's power up the V2s, and V2s won't work on Vista. It should. Just wait for them to boot. They are loud, aren't they? If I increase the speed to 25 meters a second, I can only get 3 miles distance. Do you find it's really, Armatech? Do you find it's still lacking in sport mode? Okay, so let's change to FPV mode. So I've said to switch. It's really weird. You have to manually reboot the goggles as well, isn't it? So we've done that. And now it's going to boot into the other firmware. It's dual booting. Looks like a diver if he's looking in. So this is the first time I've even switched these into FPV mode. Yeah, it's weird. Bardwell said his stayed. JB did. He checked it after I mentioned it, in fact. I mentioned it on my last live stream and he did it live on air. When he came here and caused trouble. Looks like a coffee maker. Well, I used to fix coffee. I'm a trained coffee maker engineer. That is a true fact I've shared with you guys. I am a trained coffee maker engineer. It's not what I do for a living now, but I am a trained coffee maker engineer. Okay, I'm back in normal mode. And it says my firmware is device info, just to give you an idea, version 01.00.0606. So that is the latest firmware release. So let's where's the bind button on the Vista? Can I get to it? Oh, am I going to get to it on this? I might have to use the FPV unit. Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. Oh, I got him. Okay, so bind button on the goggles. Isn't it press and hold? It's been a while since I've done it. Just remind me, how do we bind again? It's just press on the button. Ah, there we go. Wasn't working. Okay. And then we're going to bind this. Just going to get to the pin. Cool. Okay. So, boom. So we're bound. All working. All on. Now I'm going to try two things. I'm going to try just going back into the other mode and without turning the FPV drone on and coming back. And then we'll try it with the turning the FPV drone on. Okay, so that's working. Up and running. You guys can't see, but all connected. Lovely. So if I power these down, I'm just going to power them back on again just to check it works. And then we'll see if it works. It does as well, Bruce. Yes, remember I mentioned that. Your B2 FPV also run. Yeah, raging hot. Raging hot. Cool. So on a reboot, it still remained binded. Okay, so what we're going to do is just power that down for 2 seconds. And then, how do we actually get back into the FPV mode? Does anyone know? I haven't actually looked. Device. Switch to DJI FPV. It goes. It really is dual booting. It really is dual booting into a different OS. I love this tweaking around. Let's have a look. So next, I thought it just wouldn't kick in for me. On the side, have you changed the angle of camera speed? You change the camera speed. Change the angle of the camera. You should have called it DJI. Right, okay, so we're rebooting now into FPV drone mode. Well, I was allowed. I'm a commercial operator, so that was the reason I was flying. I am a qualified commercial operator and I was doing business work. And I deny everything else. Okay. Shall I power the drone up to do it as if I own the drone? I think that makes sense, doesn't it? It doesn't really make sense to switch into FPV mode. Say nothing, Steve. Carry on. Okay, so let's just turn this on. So what we've done, we've bound the vista. Wait for it to do that. We've switched it back to FPV drone. We're just going to wait for it to kick in. I tell you something I would want as well. I want to be able to move around the OSD elements on the drone. I don't like where the battery percentage is. I just don't like it. It's at the bottom. There can be only one. Come on. Drone's on. Goggles are on. Hello. The drone's not connected now. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to turn the remote on. That's interesting. Should I reboot? I'm going to try rebooting the goggles. Yeah, there was nothing stopping you flying. I think you had to have a good reason. Exactly what just happened to me. So what did you have to do? Did you have to rebind the aircraft? If it is, there's probably some real funky stuff going on. Yeah? I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. I'm just going to turn the aircraft off and back on. If that's the case, there's definitely some funky stuff going on here. It really does make a noise, doesn't it? Have I tried to reboot my mouse? Yeah, that's not bind. Oh, so the remote is connected, but the goggles have not. Right, what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm not going to rebind that. I'm now going to go straight back to the Vista before I do that. To see if the Vista works, first of all. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to risk messing with it if I've done that. Okay, we're going to switch back to the Vista and power that up and just see if it's done anything. Well, the fact it's done that proves something funky is definitely going on, because that shouldn't happen. We shouldn't be getting binding loss between things. So let's just see if... Right, so the Vista has now reconnected. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to go and rebind now in the other mode. And rebind the drone, and let's see if that then knocks out the binding on the Vista. Yeah, we have 77 people on the channel wanting to know what's going on, DJI. Why isn't this working? Okay, so let's fire this one back up. It's really frustrating as well. Exercise for shopping measures and essential work only during lockdown. No recreation, this except was for fishing. Apparently that was also exercise. Was exercise me working today when I was walking around the cliffs? But I was doing it, yeah, so that's not connected. Right, now I got to remember how we bind the drone. We press that. And isn't it pressing this for 5 seconds? Okay. So we're back working. Turn the remote on. Just wait to see if everything connects again. My thumb muscles, yes. Come on, remote. Am I going to have to bind the remote again? Really? It's looking like it. Anyone remember how to bind the remote? Wow. Definitely a problem here. Oh, binding. Can't remember how to do the remote. I didn't do it out the box, so... I can't remember what the combination is on the remote. I gotta find that now. How to fit the props. Preparing the remote controller. Preparing, no, not peering. Preparing. Right, linking. On the remote controller, press and hold the power button on the aircraft. Press and hold the power button on the remote controller. All right, okay. Which one do I do it to? The goggles and the drone? Or... I've lost my screwdriver. Let's have a look. This ain't going well. I should read the instructions properly, shouldn't I? Right, okay. Power on the aircraft and the goggles. Right. I haven't actually... Do you know, I've not actually had to do this yet myself. Should we power it all down? Try ripping the USB port off the... Okay, right. Power on the aircraft, goggles, and remote controller. So, aircraft. Goggles. Remote controller. There might be a specific order to this. Well, it does come paired, but what now's happened is I've changed something and it's not working. And all I've done is bound a vista to it. Right, press the link button on the goggles and the goggles will start to beep continuously. Press the button on the remote link in sequence. Press and hold the power button to start to blink in sequence. The battery level LEDs in turn is displaying the goggles stop beating when they're successful and bound as normal. Press and hold the power button on the aircraft until until it does it again. And then press and hold on the remote. Aha! Got it. Right, we seem to have it now, guys. So that process is power it all on, you bind the aircraft to the goggles, and then you bind the remote to the aircraft. I haven't watched the binding video. That's the process. Yay, we are working. What do we think the bets are of the Cadix Vista actually working? So, let's put these back into FPV mode. I think there's no chance of that working still because we've had to rebind it again. My opinion, no chance of that working at all. Power the Vista up. And no, we've lost the Vista. Yeah, definitely lost the Vista. So, yeah, there is something not binding well here. So then, if I now bind the goggles and the Vista again, for fun. Just get my pen just to press the button. And we've rebound the Vista. Well, yes, Bruce. Vista's rebound. Binded. What word is it? Binded? Bonded? What word do we want to call it? Bonded, binded. And then switch to FPV. Okay. Turn them off. And let's see if they still connect to the drone. Bound. Yeah. Definitely something funky with that whole process, though, isn't it? Buggered. Well done, Steve. Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done. There is clearly something not quite right with that process. Bind and pray. That's very good. Okay, let's turn the drone on. What do we think? What's the chances? It's not looking good. Nope. It's lost it again. Nope. Gone again. Well, that's buggered. Interesting. JB wasn't having that issue. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Yep. No. So now if I then bind the goggles back to the drone, and I bet if we go back, what a pattern in it. Oops, I've turned the aircraft off instead of putting it in binding mode. Oh, mine is the latest. I'm the latest on everything, Bruce. But yeah, it's clearly an issue. Just rebinding my aircraft. And now checking if my remote's binded to it. Ah, very frustrating. Very frustrating indeed. Well, at least, look, we've got to the bottom of it. Doesn't work. And the remote has unbinded again because I've had to rebind the aircraft. So what we then need to do is press and hold that. Oh, I turned the remote off, not bind it. Press and hold. Bind this to that, that to that, that to that. Way, we're back up and running. Okay, yes. So we do know that there is definitely an issue there, guys. That is no question. Okay, well at least we've got to the bottom of that one. I'll probably try and pass that one on to someone I know. Remember, guys, that's only happening though if you're switching between the two FPV systems. Yes, very interesting. Very interesting.